Welcome to Savor Newark, the podcast, a platform that allows us to discuss everything that goes into turning Newark, America's authentic food capital. With me, I have IBID's Executive Director, Vince Baglivo, the man behind marketing the Ironbound, also known as a particularly delicious food destination.
Thanks for having me, Carlos.
Thank you for being here with us. Welcome to our studio.
Pleasure to be here.
My pleasure. I guess sometimes people take for granted the Ironbound, and everybody understands that it's the soccer capital, the food capital, but there's a lot of work that goes into turning that a perception and a reality in people's minds. So it's not just by chance, right? So
Sure.
the IBID has been playing a crucial role for the past 26 years.
Yeah. And you know what I would say, from a marketer's perspective, from a branding perspective, if you start with positive name recognition and positive attributes that can be demonstrated experientially for people, it's a lot easier to build a strong brand platform from that than trying to conjure something up out of thin air. So we were very, very fortunate when the IBID was founded 26 years ago that there was a reputation for great dining, food scene in the East Ward, in the Ironbound proper. Our goal was to amplify that, to expand it beyond people who knew to more people who would want to know, bring other people, and really, really underscore the food culture that is, from our perspective, the key ingredient to making Newark, a worldwide destination.
Okay, for the ones who don't know, IBID stands for Ironbound Business Improvement District. So for people who don't really understand, what's the role of a business improvement district?
Sure.
For them, any roles?
A business improvement district, a managed district, is a public-private partnership with the municipality. So in this case, the property owners, commercial property owners in our district in the East Ward along the Ferry Street corridor with the city of Newark. And our job is to provide supplemental services above and beyond what our partners at DPW, code enforcement, Newark PD, Newark Zone Economic Development agencies, to do more for the Ironbound. The property owners in our district decided that they wanted more. They recognized potential, that there was something to build on. They just needed a catalyst to help them make that happen. And the IBID has been, I would like to think, recognized for helping advance the cause for the Ironbound as well as for Newark.
The Ironbound is a section of Newark located in the East Ward, a neighborhood also very known for the factories, great tradition of immigration, and with that, the flavors and different cultures. And I'm a huge advocate, and as Portuguese, I'm always saying that you can eat in the Ironbound as if you're eating in Portugal. Granted, if you're eating grilled fish by the ocean in Portugal, the whole environment might also make it taste a little differently. But if we were to transport all of these restaurants the way they are to Portugal, they would still be considered good restaurants. And I don't know if a lot of people in this area knows, but I don't know if the world or the rest of the country understands how special it truly is as of yet.
Yeah, to me, I always wonder, how other cities become so recognized and identified with certain cuisine or a certain specific dish. Baltimore, crab cakes, everybody knows that, right? So it's surprising to me the things that are originated in the city of Newark, brought to the city by the many different immigrants who have come to the city and made this city great and stand out from a food and cultural perspective for many years. For some reason, that just hasn't really stuck with people yet. It may be a lack of focus on those particular elements. It could be that other bigger cities have more resources to convince people that their cuisine is better. But what I say to people, and have said for many, many years, is that it doesn't matter whether it's Portuguese cuisine, Brazilian cuisine, Ghanaian, Nigerian. In the city of Newark, you're going to get the real deal.
Hmm.
There's no dumbing down flavors here. There's no, oh, it might be too spicy for the American palate. That doesn't happen here. The dishes are served by the cultures that present them in the way that represents them from a real everyday perspective. And that speaks to the word that I think you have used previously, I have used, others have, authenticity. People are craving authenticity in the food that they eat, the music they hear, the art that they interact with. They want the real deal. And Newark, despite flying under the radar screen for so long, is as real deal as it gets. And, I will stand behind that. Been to most of the major cities in the United States, Canada, and Europe. And it would be hard pressed to think of another city that offers the type of cuisines that we do. Um, it presented in the way it's presented, the backdrop of the cultural environment, it really stands out. And I think that makes Newark special.
Truly. And it reminds us of the value and the true taste of authenticity, of real, right? And oh, we live in an era of artificial intelligence, and I understand that it can also be a pretty resourceful tool, but it's also good to taste something truly authentic, something that is not artificial, something that it's real. And Newark gives that, and that's something that it's a treasure, really. And
Yeah,
and you said something that it's really interesting. They're not willing to compromise. They're not willing to dumb it down to apply or to adapt to other
sure.
palates. It's as if they're lived in a micro bubble, competing amongst themselves and their specific ethnic groups to see which one is the most authentic. And in return, we just have these amazing flavors that allow that we can taste without leaving the
Sure,
country.
and we're going to have an amazing opportunity in June and July of this year when the FIFA World Cup comes to New Jersey metro area, including the final at the Meadowlands. And what do I mean by that? What I mean is that people are coming to this area for the World Cup. They're recognizing the diversity of the nations that will be competing, many of which are represented culturally here in the city of Newark. And if you're going to see Brazil play a match in the World Cup, for my money, I would want to be immersed in a Brazilian situation, whether it's enjoying Brazilian food, a caipirinha to have to drink, the music that surrounds the atmosphere. It adds to the experience. And I think people of whatever culture or wherever they are from, even if they're not rooting for Brazil or Spain or Portugal, they still feel it. They recognize the vibe that this is a town and the Ironbound community within the city of Newark that lives and breathes soccer every day, all the time. We're launching a new ad campaign where we're talking about international cuisine, international soccer, authenticity and the food and the culture we offer here. And I think it's timely and on point for what people are coming to experience. It's great to see wonderful soccer, amazing players, amazing games. Maybe come home with a jersey from representative of the nation you're supporting, but the memories that you will make, many of them will revolve about the experiences you have, the little nuances, a great piece of fish that you ate, a pastel de nata, which we take for granted in the Ironbound and Portuguese culture, but not available everywhere and across the country. It's a specialty item if people see it at all. So I think these are going to make a deeper, richer experience for people beyond the soccer.
Can we say that not only you celebrate the game, but you can actually taste it?
Yes, we can, and I felt very, very fortunate to be able to work with your class at the Rutgers graduate school for marketing and communications, where we asked your students, who are remarkably diverse in and among themselves, to give us some ideas that maybe could help drive our own marketing and communications as it related to the World Cup. And we emphasized to them the different cultures, the food, the music, the ambiance. And one of the brilliant things they came back to us with was the concept of taste the game. We see that as a major tag. Hashtag taste the game. We're going to be going out of our way to demonstrate for people what does that mean. And some great social media content we're producing, along with folks from our partners at the Newark Alliance, to underscore for people, to put a roadmap together for them as to where to find the things that are going to make their time in Newark and their experience at the World Cup extra special.
It was actually a great experience for my students. They loved that. I brought them to the Ironbound. We ended up having dinner. So I brought them to Cafe, and they tried a pastel de nata, and also Casa de Paco, because I also didn't want them just because I'm Portuguese, I don't want them to just assume that the Ironbound or Newark is only about the Portuguese culture. So I brought them to a great Spanish restaurant, Casa de Paco, and they had live flamenco. So it was just a great experience for them to
Sure.
indulge this romantic vibe. It's almost like you're in Spain without leaving the States.
Yeah.
Almost, no, you are.
Yeah,
It doesn't get any more authentic than
I've
this.
said to people, this is not Epcot.
No.
Okay, this is not you're going into a artificially created environment to simulate what you might see. We've had people visit from Portugal who say it sounds and smells and tastes more like Portugal than Portugal does.
Mhm.
And that's an amazing vote of confidence for the authenticity that we've been talking about here. You know, what makes Newark special? What sets it apart? And you know, for my money and the investment that our organization has made, a lot of it has been driven by the recognition that our food rightly has earned, not just from local sources and critics about food, but from national publications. You know, Food and Wine Magazine, Eater.com. These are the people who are talking about what we have to offer and the special things and the special nature of our district. Again, you know, we can send our message out there and hope for the best, or we can have reinforcement from people who are considered experts in the field. You know, no special ties to any one place. They find great things in Philadelphia, which will be also part of the World Cup experience for people in New York. But Newark has something very, very distinctive, and
unique.
very few places in the state of New Jersey have the depth and breadth of things that we can offer for people. Italian hot dogs. Again, that's a Newark thing. People have little experience maybe with that, but that's a Newark thing. In addition to some of the Portuguese specialties, again, Newark is an immigrant city, proudly so. The diversity, the people who have come in waves over the course of over 350-year history for the city of Newark have made the city rich in culture, in art, in music, in food, and so many different ways that, you know, I just think that this may be the time. Many of us who've spent our lives working in the city are hoping that this is the time, with the World Cup coming, for the city to break free, to create a new perception, to put the past behind it and become the city of the future. Here in New Jersey, for the
World-class
region.
destination.
Exactly right. A real destination. You know, years ago, if you would have said Newark is a destination for travel and tourism, there might have been some question about that. There might be some question today, but Newark has the goods. We can deliver. It's not talk. It's the real deal. And I'm very proud to be part of that and working with other like-minded people to do our best to make sure people recognize what the Newark of today is all about.
Going back to that the tradition and the authenticity. there's this gentleman. His name is Fernando, and he's bringing the traditional bifanas. He's from from Lisbon, and he's a huge Benfica fan, and he loves bifanas. And I got to try them. I helped him with some pop-ups, and he was telling me he's from Lisbon, born and raised, and he was telling me that he loves Newark and he loves going to the not the most famous and obvious great restaurants that we have, but sometimes the hidden gems, the holes in the walls, and because he was saying that it's hard to find, being that Lisbon now is so hyped and so global, and rightfully so, it's great. But he's saying I miss these traditions, and I feel that even the folklore, certain dishes tend to be preserved as they truly are in these immigrant communities around the world, because they don't live and celebrate a global Portugal. They live and celebrate the traditions that they left behind. So you're not only tasting flavors of ethnic flavors, you're tasting nostalgia of these communities, and not only Portuguese, but they tend to just preserve that and keep their memories through flavors close to them, and that's
Sure.
and that's brings tremendous value.
Yeah, and Portugal, by geography wise, is a small country relatively, but it has so many different distinctive areas, not just in terms of the topography and what the weather is like, and if there's mountains, if it's by the sea, if it's farmlands. Um, but the food is different regionally. And again, I'm not Portuguese, but I've spent so much time immersed in the culture here to understand it, that what may be a nostalgic dish from somebody from the north of Portugal would be completely different from somebody from the southern part of the country. They're all Portuguese, but there's pride in regionality, just like there is in this country in a sense. But
Mhm.
our country is so huge, it's maybe
It's
less
at a continental
surprising.
scale.
Yes,
Scale.
exactly. So I think it's a world to be discovered still. Portugal, I think, has thrown under the radar for a long time. Uh, the food, the wine, which again, the wine culture of Portugal is maybe one of the most diverse and interesting, in my opinion, in the world today, and more is being recognized for that. And I think that adds to the vibe and what's going on here as well,
Mhm.
in terms of not just the food that we serve, but also the quality and diversity of the wine that we offer from
And
Spain and
cheeses.
Portugal, cheeses, bread.
Let's not forget the supply chain. That also, it's not that we're cooking with American spices. The Ciabras group and these chains, they import these actual spices from
Sure.
Portugal.
All right, to achieve those kind of flavors, there is no substitute for the real deal. Even when you talk about it, Newark is a city with a strong black cultural influence on cuisine here as well. Cornbread. We have a cornbread restaurant right across the street from City Hall. Portuguese bakeries make cornbread too, but it's completely different than Southern United
Of
States style
course,
cornbread,
love it.
similar to a Portuguese frango barbecue chicken. It's completely different than what people who recognize Southern style barbecue with sauce and things on it. That again, it's distinctive. It's familiar but distinctive, and I think people who are curious, and I think curiosity, I think, is something we should have more of for people, not just about food, but other people's cultures, their music, their art, and where they're coming from, what speaks to their hearts. Curiosity, I think, is a very valuable thing, and I think people who have more curiosity would be a better thing for our country, for our city, for our neighborhood, to be culturally curious.
Mhm.
What other people eat, what other people, how they live. I think that's something that would be beneficial for everybody to see more of that.
And we're talking about Portuguese, but there's also huge, as I said, we mentioned Spanish tradition, Brazilian tradition, and Brazilian barbecues, amazing. And I don't, I've been to Brazil, but I also like to share the experience with some Brazilians that, fresh off the boat. And I take him to restaurants like Buena Brasa, Casa Nova, and tell him, and ask him, is this really authentic? Do you think that this would be at the level? I always like, because I feel that about the Portuguese food, but I also like to hear other people from other countries if they feel the same when they taste those flavors here. And they all say the same. It's like it's at the level. So we're very blessed. And sometimes we only appreciate it when we leave. I can vouch for the Iberian flavors, but there's also, of course, a great tradition of soul food. I mean, Vonda's Kitchen and others.
Sure,
I mean,
and
the brisket guy. I mean,
right, and the best the burgers at Krug's Tavern in the Ironbound District on Wilson Avenue has been named New Jersey's best burger multiple
yeah.
times. You know, and I think that also speaks to something interesting in our neighborhood. You can get a traditional, smash burger on the grill at Krug's Tavern. You could go to Hamburgau and get a Brazilian style hamburger, which is
Ex tudo,
it's a whole different animal.
altas horas.
Hey, Altas Horas as well. You know that there's different expressions of things again, familiar, but with different twists to them. There's something for everybody here. I know that's a phrase that all destination marketers use, but I think we really do in a
We
lot
can
of
support
respects.
it.
We
The same
have
way
the
when we
roots.
were always pushing, as you know, Savor Newark, we always push Newark as the authentic food capital in the States. And I really believe it, especially when it comes to Portuguese, Spanish, Brazilian food, at least those three concentrated
Hmm.
in one region, like you have in the Ironbound, you don't find anywhere else.
Sure.
You just don't. Maybe there's other restaurants that could be at a similar level, but not those many concentrated in one location.
Sure.
And
And
that's
there's
beautiful.
a lot of diversity in Newark, as we've been talking about, different parts of the city representing different cultures. Um, so I think within the city of Newark itself, it's something that my colleagues in marketing and destination marketing around the city talk about, that we want people to explore within their own city. Newark also has a growing population, people coming here from other places, New York City, Manhattan and Brooklyn, Gold Coast, Jersey City, Hoboken, etc. And that they're looking for things to enrich their everyday lives, but also something to be proud of.
Hmm.
When people invite friends, family to come and visit them as a new resident of Newark, a new business owner in Newark, a student in Newark, everybody wants to have someplace fun and cool and delicious to bring, their contemporaries to. And I think we're really trying to make sure that people from around the city know what it is their city has to offer, whether it's an amazing, Cubano sandwich in the North Ward, or ceviche or tiradito from the Peruvian restaurants in the North Ward,
Or some
to
Puerto Rican
sure,
taino.
mofongo at in Puerto Rican restaurants in the city, jollof rice from Nigerian and Ghanaian restaurants. In addition, there's just so much to choose from here. And you mentioned earlier, I think sometimes we take for granted
Hmm.
what we have. It's what we know. It's our day to day. Other people get blown away by it because they don't have the same access to those cultural flavors and references. And again, that's a strength of Newark.
One thing it is funny is it's a Portuguese or the, but it's also American sizes. I've hosted some people that come, and the first time they come to the States, I've taken them to some Portuguese restaurants, and then when they bring them a huge carne porco lenchana, or like like the pork cubes,
Sure.
and they're like, oh my God, it's just massive. But
Yeah,
it's
and I think that was part of the tradition that people remember from the restaurants of old time, the quantity in addition to the
it's almost like
quality.
family size, meant
Yes,
to be shared.
exactly. But one of the things that has evolved as well in our restaurant scene is that yes, we still have culinary traditions and presentations that represent a different style of dining. What's happening now, younger people, I think people in this country are embracing small plate dining. And Portuguese culture, Spanish culture, small plates are a part
Tapas.
of everything. Tapas, pinchos. That's again. So if you want to have a sit down dinner, multi courses, linen tablecloths, waiters in tuxedos, we've got that high end for sure. But we also have some of the best affordable cuisine in the not just in the state of New Jersey, in the metro area, across the board. I bought 2 empanadas for lunch today at one of the great bakeries we have in the Ironbound at Powder. It's $6. Okay, that's accessible and realistic for people on almost any budget to be able to find affordable food in addition to the highest end. We have places in the Ironbound that are producing very, very high end charcuterie, for example, world famous charcuterie in many ways. Sausage is representative of all over the world. These are things, again, we take for granted. Fish markets that are delivering European fish overnight shipped from Europe on ice in the Ironbound the next day. That doesn't happen every place. I know there are good fish markets in New Jersey, New York, but again, it's not, it's required. The population in the Ironbound demands this. There's no alternative. It's got to be fresh.
As you were saying, something here for everyone.
Hmm.
You have great, I mean, you also come from, and we're going to go there to your background, so people also understand, but come from a solid background of public relations, advertising. Your father also, Rutgers graduate already, so you have this is great lineage of communication professionals. By now, a lot of people know there's a huge tradition. We got to see it at the Sopranos even. So like people know, it's known that the Ironbound is a place, or in Newark, it's a destination, a food destination. But for instance, New York is also known as it's a huge destination, Miami, and they're continuously invest in marketing. And you probably would assume, why would New York need any more advertising? It's just a huge brand. But no, you need to continuously feed the brand and rebrand and reinvent and continuously come up with campaigns. It's a continuous strategy.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, people in this area have a lot of choices. We're not naive enough to think that Newark is the only place where people could go for great food in the New Jersey, New York metro area. I mean, we've got New York City basically across the river from us in most respects, miles from Newark. So, it's not that they don't have those opportunities to find other things, which I think also the competition locally. The Ironbound itself has hundreds of restaurants, many of them in the same niches. So that means there's competition every day. You can't mail it in here because the competition is too great. Compare what's offered in other places. People talk about Montclair. They talk about Milburn, as alternatives for dining scenes and downtowns. Viable for sure, but it's different, and I think that's great. The more choices, the better. But I would say we can hold our own, not just against the Montclairs and the Westfields and the Ridgewoods and Maplewoods, but we hold our own against New York City. When it comes to Portuguese food, the only Portuguese dining neighborhood that I've encountered in North America that even remotely resembles the Ironbound is the Portuguese neighborhood in Montreal, Canada. And that's, to me is a very, very interesting comparison, because here in the Ironbound, many people will say to you when you cross into the Ironbound, it's like being in Europe anyway.
Hmm.
The smell of the garlic sauteing, the smell of hardwood charcoal burning, the people speaking languages other than English on the sidewalks, as they're doing their shopping and living their lives. It's a very immersive experience, but it's not contrived. It's not make believe. This is people's lives day to day. And the beauty part is that in most respects, there's harmony. I say to people that the Ironbound, in terms of being a welcoming neighborhood, I've never seen a neighborhood that's as welcoming to a diverse group of people, representative not just of Newark's diversity, but the metro area's diversity. People from different cultures, people from different places, on the social spectrum. There's just a tremendous amount of diversity here, and everybody is welcome. And I would say in other places, not everybody feels welcome in places that they've not been to before. They're not part of the local scene. They feel different. Here, people just blend in because there are so many different faces, so many different voices, different languages, that, it's just, to me, a situation where people just feel like I can be part of this. There's a place for me here. I'm not an outsider. I'm not different. I could be part of the fabric of this community. And I think that's a great way to build the city and build the culture and build the future.
Hmm. You're very passionate, obviously, about Newark. You grew up in Union. A little bit about your upbringing, your relationship with Newark, and also your academic background. So your comms, you have a background in communications, PR.
Sure. Yeah. So, I was born in the city of Newark, at St. Michael's. Um, my dad, grew up here in the city. My grandfather immigrated from Italy and made his way through Ellis Island, found his way to Newark, and started a family and a life here. Um, my dad was a West Side High School graduate, in the Athletic Hall of Fame there. Um, Went from Newark, to Rutgers University, first in his family to go to college. Graduated #1 in the School of Journalism at Rutgers, Phi Beta Kappa, and came back to Newark to do what was his passion from the time he was a child, and that was to be a newspaper reporter. And my dad was the political writer for the Newark Evening News, which back in the day was a bigger, more impactful news organization than the Star Ledger that people know today. Um, he went from there to work in the administration of Governor William Cahill. He became the state's first director of public information, basically the first public relations officer for the state. Um, myself, followed in the public relations realm. In the city, my first job was with the Archdiocese of Newark in 1984. I've worked for major advertising, public relations companies in the state. My clients over the years have included Verizon, PSCG, um, Raymond Chambers and his different charitable foundations, as well as nonprofits here in Newark, Greater Newark Conservancy, other business improvement districts in the city. So I feel like I've had a lot of touch points in the city over 42 years in my career. Um, and I feel very fortunate to have been able to give back. I believe I've been able to give back and contribute to a city that I always felt did not get its due. I went to school in Boston, to Boston College. Uh, in Massachusetts and Boston, the only thing worse than being a Yankee fan is being from New Jersey. So I feel like I've always been defending and standing up for not just New Jersey, but Newark, for a long, long time. And it's not just because I'm a homie, it's because I see value. Where other people disparage, I see the facts. And, in today's day and age, the facts, I think, are sometimes, you know, less supported than they should be. What's real is real, and Newark is as real as it gets. Um, the mayor has been quoted in many speeches over the years saying, Newark and proud of it. I think that's a great line when he's speaking about it because he can back it up with the reasons why. And every day there's more reasons to be proud of Newark. And those who live here, those who work here, go to school here, have a connection here, we need all of them to be on our side, pro Newark, pro New Jersey, and stand up for the great things that we offer the world and people need to know about and experience.
What does Newark mean to you, and what's the best part of this role with the IBID?
I would say the opportunity to interact with people again. I've had a long career in Newark, and I work with a lot of people, very, very well known. Others that are working in the background to advance the case for Newark. People of different ages, people of different cultures. Um, to me, it's enriching. It's enervating. It's energizing, to see young people coming up with passion for the city that I've devoted a good chunk of my life to. And we need another generation to step up. It's happening in the Ironbound's restaurant scene. It's happening throughout the city. Young people with great ideas, creativity, a love for the city, a passion for the city are stepping up. And the future of Newark will be bright when those people, step up to the next level. They're attracting other people who are coming and seeing opportunity here in Newark to build their own careers, their own families, and their own futures. And I think that the future's bright for Newark. And again, I've just been glad to be a part of it for all of these years.
In the more immediate future, what can these visitors expect from the World Cup experience in Newark?
Well, some of the details are still being worked out right now. Governor Sherrill changed the game about a month ago, saying instead of one World Cup fan zone in Jersey City, that there would be multiple locations. And Newark is the most soccer-centric city, the Ironbound, the most soccer-centered community in the state of New Jersey, maybe in the region and maybe in the country. And I would say that when it comes to the World Cup this summer, if you want to have an amazing experience related to the World Cup, we believe that we will have a World Cup fan zone located just off of Ferry Street during the tournament. But in addition to the fan zones, we're going to have multiple locations, bars, restaurants that are going to be hosting smaller parties, showing the games, inviting people in. And I think people are going to find activities to do during the day, between matches with their families, kid-friendly stuff. It's going to be an exciting time, and not only easy to get to and convenient because the Ironbound and Newark are so transportation connected, that it's going to showcase our state, our city, our neighborhood in a very, very positive way. And hopefully we'll just give people more reasons to tell their families and friends about the great things they experience in Newark. And it's suggesting that if you're not going to do it yourself, then you're missing out.
How can these sometimes businesses be more proactive and interact with the IBID? What's the ideal dynamic between the businesses that you represent and advocate for and the IBID? What's the best way?
Sure. Well, part of what we do to everybody's benefit is we focus on three terms: clean, safe, welcoming. That's good for everybody, whether you live in the Ironbound, you work in the Ironbound, you're visiting the Ironbound. That's the basic for us and what our standards are. What we do and encourage businesses in our district, again, one of the reasons the IBID was formed 26 years ago was not just business development, but also to help provide a marketing focus in a very, very expensive media market. Small business have a very difficult time getting their messages out there. We have a very strong social media program. Our website is well visited and well curated. Um, we create opportunities for small businesses to leverage our Go Ironbound channels, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, or whatever, to give smaller businesses, restaurants, retailers, even small community service organizations to get bigger exposure. You know, we've worked very, very hard to create impactful communications channels to do exactly that, so people can find us, and so that people here have great things to offer, want to introduce themselves to Newark, to the state, to the world, have a way to do that. Um, and bringing all of these great messages together, to cum them together, helps make a more impactful message coming out of the Ironbound and out of Newark, you know? And I think that's really, really important. It's going to be important during the World Cup. It's important all year round. Leverage the opportunities that we create, as well as others in the city through the Newark Alliance now and the Newark Happening platform. Get your message out there. You know, it's opportunities are there if you're willing to put the time in to make a difference for your business. And we're all about helping to make that happen for people. So I encourage anybody to reach out for us. We're always open for new ideas and to hear from people. Tell us about what they're doing and how we can help them out. We also interact on a daily basis with organizations like Invest Newark, NJEDA. Why is that important? Because we identify opportunities for grants, for loans, for things that help people expand their businesses, grow their businesses that they might not have been able to do without some of that financial support and backing. And I think that's important as well. We're kind of a liaison between these organizations and our local businesses. Um, we also are working very hard to emphasize quality of life in a very busy business district with an overlay of tens of thousands of residents. It's a very busy, bustling place, creates challenges to keep an environment that's uh, acceptable, not just acceptable, but
Desirable.
inviting to people who have businesses here, to people who come to visit, to shop and dine with us.
Hmm. And in addition to that, I've always kept also a great relationship, pretty close with the local councilman, Michael Silva, Deputy Mayor Ligiet Freitas as well.
Mm-hmm.
So all these pillars, from safety to beautification to advocacy to marketing, perception building, reputation management. It's 40 years working with the city of Newark. Obviously, that helps, but it's not only experience, Vince. It requires passion and a true love for Newark and for the Ironbound.
Yeah, and a willingness to work with people, to collaborate with people across the board. And you know, because I've been here as long as I have working in the city, I've been able to build relationships with people throughout the city, other bids and SIDS, the economic development. We mentioned Invest Newark, and also support from the council and from Mayor Baraka. We support the mayor in his efforts. He supports us. Our councilman in the East Ward, Michael J. Silva, has been a great partner with us, has worked with us to do whatever we can, whether it's clearing the snow off of Ferry Street and Wilson Avenue and Market Street during the blizzards we had in January and February. Hey, if you can't park near our restaurants and businesses, those businesses and restaurants are going to suffer. We went the extra mile to clear it out, working with DPW to do that. You know, it's important that we are there and people know we're there to back them up, and working with people throughout the city in these different capacities only makes us stronger. And because people are willing to go out of their way from our side of things, oftentimes we see collaboration and partnership coming back and kind of a return on our investment. And that's what we're really all about, make things better for the city across the board. My operating philosophy is I want everybody to win. The city of Newark, the Ironbound, our business owners, our residents, our visitors. I want everybody to win.
Mhm.
And I think, if more people kind of looked at it that, somebody doesn't have to lose for somebody to win. And in Newark, I think there's strength in numbers. We've had to stand up for ourselves in the face of misperceptions about our city for a long time. There's strength in numbers, and whether you're from the East Ward, the North Ward, the Central Ward, we're all Newarkers. We're all in this together. We're stronger together, and I think that's a point of pride for Newark, that we need to all be on the same page. For the future, opportunity is bright, but we have to be focused and collaborative and willing to all do our part to make Newark all it can be.
When you're not immersed in all of these strategies and moving Newark forward, being a part of a team that moves Newark forward, what do you like to do? I know you like to fish.
I'm a passionate fisherman, yes, fly fisherman, saltwater fisherman, any kind of fisherman. My dear departed mom told me I had fish on the brains when I was 5 years old, and that has never changed. I'm also passionate about food, not just eating it, but as a cook. I find great pleasure also in gardening. I specialize in growing from seed, heirloom tomatoes, heirloom chili peppers. Passionate about travel, passionate about my family. Um, passionate about soccer, not just the World Cup.
Big Arsenal fan.
I'm an Arsenal fan. I apologize to my Portuguese friends in the Ironbound. The Champions League, Arsenal will be playing Sporting from Portugal in the next round of the Champions League. But again, love for soccer transposes all of that stuff. So yeah, I root for the USA. I root for Arsenal. I root for the Red Bulls. So yeah, I've got a lot of interest, the outdoors.
Music.
I'm music. Yes, I'm kind of I'm a Gemini, and I think I actually embody what a Gemini is all about. In that I'm very very comfortable in urban environments like Newark and other cities, but I'm just as comfortable, in the wilderness in the middle of nowhere. I find balance between the two, and tremendous interest in things. I mentioned earlier curiosity. I have tremendous curiosity about people, about life, about so many things. And I think that keeps you actively engaged. If you're interested, you're always asking questions. You want to experience new things. And, at my age, I've been around, I've seen a lot, but I learn something new every single day. And I hope that continues for a long time.
Very good. Any final remarks? Any topic that we haven't touched that you think that you'd like to go over? Even if it's just a message to the community or visitors or people, things that you would like people to know about Newark that they don't know, or specifically about the Ironbound?
Yeah, I think we've covered a lot of stuff in our conversation here. I would just urge people, I hear negativity all the time as it relates to our city, and some recent interactions I've had with some of the younger people in the city. They said, well, the people we know are all very positive about Newark, and I said, you're engaged with young people who are the future of Newark and are all about Newark. Outside of the city, I'm engaged with people from a different age cohort who have a different perspective, maybe not based on the reality of today, but that's where they're coming from. It's very, very difficult to make an impact on people who have held beliefs, rightly or wrongly, for a long time. New people, young people, people from other places experiencing Newark for the first time. It's a clean slate. They don't have any preconceived notions. They don't have anything that's saying, no, that's not good, or no, that's not possible. Everything is possible in Newark as far as the new, younger, newest interactors with our city. And I think they hopefully will rub off on other people who they can share their positive experiences with and say, I don't know what you're talking about when you talk about Newark in that way, because it's not the reality. And I think we need to really work hard. You mentioned about New York City. During COVID, New York City's destination marketing organization was allocated an additional $15 million so that people wouldn't forget about what New York City had to offer while we suffered through the pandemic. If New York City has to invest that much money in their imaging, their destination marketing, we're already behind when it comes to our interactions and our ability to make impressions on people. We need to do more. And that's going to require a lot of collaboration in terms of funds, in terms of ideas. The city can't do it alone. We have an amazing corporate community here. We have a lot of organizations that want Newark to succeed. We all need to step up and do our part to make that happen.
Very good. Where can people find you? Go Ironbound online?
Sure. All of our communications, our website is goironbound.com. Our social media challenges are all at Go Ironbound. Where our office is open, if anybody has a reason to reach out and collaborate, our contact information are on those channels. And we hear from people on a daily basis inquiring about opportunities, ideas they have, and is there a place for them in Newark? I say to everybody, there's a place for you in Newark if you have the passion and the drive to make it happen. Okay? This is a city of opportunity, and I hope people will embrace that.
City of Opportunity, a city for people who have passion like you. Vince, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Great conversation with a great man, great friend, and a great advocate of the Ironbound and all the great things about the city of Newark. I'll see you next time. Until then, follow us at Plusable_PR. Savor Newark this year is going to happen on May 16. I'll see you there. Thank you all for your support, and I'll see you next time.